give freely and become more wealthy, be stingy and lose everything. The more you give, the wealthier you become. The more you keep, the poorer you become. At first, it doesn't seem to add up. Seems like some kind of reverse economics. Warren Buffett is known as one of the best investors in the world and one of the richest men in the world. And one of the things he says in his views on the economy is this: the biggest mistake is not learning the habit of saving properly. And I'm sure we all know this homey little bit of advice: a penny saved is a penny earned. When you keep money, you should have more. That's the way it works. When you lose money, you should have less. Yet in this proverb, we have the opposite. The more you give, the wealthier you become. It's interesting. It's not just give your money away. It says give it away freely. It kind of insinuates this recklessness in giving. This abandon in how you give your money away to people. This enthusiasm and excitement. It's like you're looking around, scanning and searching for opportunities to give your money away. But the more you hold back, the poorer you become. Not only do you risk becoming poorer, but if you're stingy, you will end up with nothing. Now, how does that make sense? It's as if the writer of this proverb didn't get basic economics and mathematics. It seems to me. Let's say you have 7 of something, because 7 is a good biblical number, and you should always work with 7s. It looks like if you give away some money, you should have less. 7 minus 6 equals 1. But according to this proverb, the math is different. 7 minus 6 equals 13. You end up with more. But if you have 7 and don't give any away, hang on to everything, 7 minus 0 equals 0. You end up with nothing. The math doesn't add up. It's reverse economics. So which way do you go? Give or save? Give the 7 or keep the 6? 6, 7. We don't know what to do here. How do you decide? Some of you, anyway, he's telling us the truth about something. When you give your stuff away, you end up with more. When you hang on and you are stingy, you end up with nothing. One of the wealthiest men that I have ever known had a secret to his wealth. It was his generosity. He was ridiculous in his generosity. He was a man that wanted to make sure he had cash in his pockets before he went out in case he could give some money away. And he made sure that they were big bills, not small bills. He did this habitually, looking for ways to give freely, to be ridiculous in his generosity. He liked to take my kids out for ice cream. And he took them to that place. What's the place they mix the stuff in that weird way? Marble Slab. Took them to Marble Slab all the time. But he was also a retired teacher. So he said, hey, would you pay? It was kind of an economic thing. I'll give you the money. You go pay. It's a good learning opportunity. So he'd give them a $50 to pay for their ice cream. They'd pay. And he said, oh, I don't like change. Keep the change. So my kids always loved going out for ice cream with him. Once there was a church bake sale. And you take a risk when you buy something at a bake sale at a church. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes we're not sure. Sometimes the egg salad sandwiches have eggshells in them. It just happens. But at this occasion, there was an apple pie. And he started bidding on this apple pie. Another man was bidding on this apple pie. They had this bidding war, but it just became apparent when it got to 50, this other man was not going to win because this guy said $200. He bought that pie for $200. I have no idea how it tasted, but then in a ridiculous act of generosity, he handed it over to the person he was bidding against. He was the wealthiest man I know because money gave him a return to the dollar that outstripped the highest investment account. He invested in relationships and people. So somehow the gospel had taken root in this man's life, and he understood that relationships with God and others were more important than big bank accounts. Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. In verse 25, something becomes clear. Giving is the result of a mindset. It's a reflection of your heart, a heart that values people more than stuff. We need to be clear here. Giving is the crop, not the garden. It's the product, not the source. The garden that giving grows out of is generosity. Verse 25 says, the generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. The generous prosper because they recognize that investing in people offers the greatest return. Generosity is seeing people in relationships as building something together. And it recognizes the connection that we all have with each other, with one another. The observation, the wisdom of Proverbs in verse 26 demonstrates the relational nature of generosity. It says in verse 26, people curse those who hoard their grain, but they bless the one who sells in time of need. Now, there's some important context here because hoarding grain was a selfish practice that harmed the community. It was cornering the market. The community at this time needed the grain to live. There were no trains coming in full of grain. If the local farmer hoards the grain, people go hungry. So this is the picture. This farmer has his farm, and he strips his fields bare, and there is nothing left to glean. They're supposed to leave stuff to glean, right? There's nothing left to glean. And he locks it tight in his barns. And then he waits. He waits till people run out of grain. He waits till they're hungry. He waits till there's scarcity. And then he unlocks his barns and sells that grain for a huge return on the money. Drives the prices way up. See, he doesn't care about his neighbors and community and relationships. He cares about himself. People curse those who hoard grain. The richest woman in America about 100 years ago was Hetty Green. No relationship, unfortunately. In 1916, she had a value of $200 million. Now, by today's standards, that's $7 billion. She loved interest. She loved compound interest. Compound interest, the Albert Einstein's theory, that's what makes a world turn. She loved compound interest. She was a stock trader. She was ruthless. She bought real estate low and sold high. She was hard to bargain with. She would get a good deal. She would drive the prices down and buy low, push people out. She also loved to save. Loved to save. But the truth is, she was exceptionally stingy. Every penny she saved was a victory. She had a favorite saying, frugality is the mother of virtue. So with this fortune, $7 billion, she lived in run-down boarding houses. Whenever she went to the grocery store, she haggled. It's a true story. For all the prices. And she wore the same black dress until it was threadbare. She loved money and saving. She did have a family at one time. Her son became sick and she refused to pay for health care and instead just sent him to some kind of clinic, and he got gangrene and had his leg amputated. That kind of broke things for them. She fought over inheritance with her family. Bitterly, her family sued her. Her friends vanished. She trusted no one. But she died with a great fortune. But she lost everything and was very poor because she had no one. People curse those who hoard their grain, but bless those who sell in time of need. The other farmer is different. He knows that his community needs food. They're his neighbors. He wants them to be well fed. He doesn't want them to starve. So he waits for the right time to put his grain on the market at a fair price and sells his grain to the people. And they bless him for that. See, his interest is in people not gaining interest at the expense of people. He still makes money, but he puts people before money so that people bless him. The generous prosper because they recognize that investing in people offers the greatest return. This is the reverse economics of God. This is kingdom economics. Kingdom economics isn't about the interest you gain on your money. Kingdom economics is about the interest you show in people. Kingdom economics is relational. It's about using the gifts that we have all been given to build community and relationships. Kingdom economics is founded on the principle, the reality, the revealed truth that God has become our neighbor. And that we are to be neighbors with him and with others. To be like him. God said something to Moses shortly after he came down from Mount Sinai with the Ten Commandments that reveals the foundation for kingdom economics. What is that noise? So that's not me, I'm just saying. Exodus 25:8. Let them build a sanctuary that I may dwell in them. Now, Jewish scholars are quick to point out the wording. Not that I may dwell in it, in the sanctuary, in the temple, but that I may dwell in them. The key word here is dwell. And this is a key concept in Jewish thinking. It's God's divine presence with his people, among them and in them. It's a word we call Shekinah, which is God's presence among his people. And Shekinah is deeply connected to the idea of neighbor. A Shekan is a Hebrew word for neighbor, someone who lives right next door. It's part of the word Shekinah. See, God is our neighbor, and he is right there no matter where you are. He dwells in the builders, not the buildings. He dwells in people, not places. He values relationship, not stuff. And no matter where we go, we can't get far from him. A neighbor acts generously to those around them because generosity is what you do when you value people. It's the heart of being a neighbor. When you are loved, you love. God is our neighbor and he is generous. That is the foundation of generosity. We recognize that God is among us, and what we have is given to us. God's economics are bigger, and in his economics, people matter more than stuff. Generosity is being a neighbor. The generous prosper because they recognize that investing in people affects the greatest return. Because you will never be rich with money but without people. Never. That is not how life works. But you can be rich with people and without money. Because generosity is not the interest you gain in your account, but the interest you have in people. Generosity is a posture before God and before others. And generosity is more than just giving money. It's a posture, a way, a response. It's believing in someone who people say is not worth it. It's being willing to be a bit awkward in lending a hand. It's seeing people as the biggest investment. True generosity is an investment that touches other people. I still remember my Sunday school teacher from when I was 7 years old. There's that number 7 again. No 6, though. This is what I remember about her. Her name was Mabel. She wore pink. All pink. Like all pink. And she wore hats all the time, fancy hats, pink hats with flowers and beehives and all sorts of stuff all over them. And she kind of even, I don't know how to say this, you know how you remember smell? She kind of smelled pink. Kind of like some kind of perfume that was pinky smelling. But mostly I remember that she loved teaching Sunday school. She loved it. She taught it for years and years, and she was very patient and kind. She would show up week after week, ready and prepared. We would go down to this room in the church basement that probably today would be cordoned off and condemned. But we went down there and we would run around, and she would put up with us, teach us about God's love and Bible lessons, stories about animals. And we had this technology that we used called a flanogram. And you put like a sticky thing here and a sticky thing there, and somehow it stayed up. It was so cool. It's a lost technology. We lose technologies like the pyramids. This is why I still remember her. Because she invested in us. Her interest was in children and people. Mabel, all in pink, was all about people. And she was a very prosperous woman. The generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. Real gain is not interest in an account. Real gain is interest in people. Generosity is the impact that we have on others by understanding the importance of our connections. We are one another. The Bible is full of one another's. No matter who you are or what you've achieved, you are incomplete until all of us find a way to use our blessings in life to have a positive impact on someone else. Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, a writer who wrote this book called Studies in Spirituality, says this about generosity and giving. Give, and you will come to see life as a gift. Generosity is the garden we plant together in relationship with God and others. And the crop that comes out of it, it builds relationships and community. Give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything. Amen.